Are you ready? It's time for Kid Got Your Ticket podcast. Listen, let's have some fun. Enjoy.
3, 2, 1. All right, guys, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to Kid Got Your Ticket. Today we have my friend Carlo Torres in the house. All right, he's joining me today. It should be fun. This guy actually, you know what? Every time I open up my social media, one of the first things I usually like to see is some of his posts because he got one of the funniest timelines out there, man. What's up, dude? How you been, man?
Good, man. Doing the thing, working, and making people laugh on Facebook.
Dude, you definitely make me laugh all the time, dude. I mean, I'm like that follower that's always liking, the post. I don't like a lot of posts. Like I'm guilty of that. But your shit, man, it's on fire, man. It's hot, man. You always have the funniest things, and some things actually make you want to think about stuff, but some of the stuff, it's funny, man. It's funny, man. You got a great sense of humor, man. I love that, man. And that's the reason I wanted to bring you on the podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad for the invite. But yeah, man, I just, people take Facebook way too seriously nowadays, and I just want to have some fun, man. I've lost a lot of friends because of some of my posts because,
Really?
they get offended, and if hopefully they're watching this podcast. If I offend you, I probably tried to do that. So thanks
That was the whole point, right?
That was the whole point. I don't mean to offend you, but if I do, I find that funny as well.
That is funny, right? Because I mean, why would somebody get offended? And you know what's the funny thing, though, right? Is that whenever you post something, most people are always gonna think it's about them when it's really not.
Listen, if the shoe fits, feel free to lace it up and wear it, man. And that's all I try to do. People take Facebook too seriously. Like this whole political climate, right? You and I have been very, very active.
Yes, we have.
Having fun at other people's expenses when it comes to this. And if you really look at my page, I'll have pro-Trump stuff. All right, no. I'll have anti-Biden stuff, anti-Trump stuff. It's just, you know what? If I see it and I find it funny, I'm going to post it. I don't put my real political views online because that's my private stuff.
Correct.
To me, social media is just to have some fun.
Totally agree. And you know what's the thing, though, right? Is that I feel like you have the Trump supporters and you have the Biden supporters, right? But even if you support either candidate, why aren't you allowed to call them out on their bullshit?
Oh my God. Like, all right. So I had a former friend, this is one of the people that deleted me. She posted something about Medicare,
Okay.
right? About health insurance, about how crazy expensive it is, and she wants Medicare for all. And all I did on her post was explain why it may or may not work. Just facts of the pros and cons of it.
Yeah.
And she got all upset that I came on her post and laid facts.
Like
I did not disrespect her. I did not put anything political. I told the pros and cons of that program. That's it. And she actually deleted me. And then I went on her page and found a post where she said, this is her post. I don't care what side you're on. If you post political stuff, I will fact check it. So she's allowed to fact check.
She's allowed to do that.
But I fact check her, and then I'm the enemy. I get deleted. I get erased off Facebook, which is fine. It's one less person for me to have to worry about online. But, it's just, I don't care what side of this fence you land on. If you're a radical on either side, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm just going to laugh.
But that's the funny part. That's actually the funny part. When somebody blindly follows, whether it's a celebrity or a politician or whatever, you cannot blindly follow. Dude, does anybody even blindly follow their parents? Even then follow a freaking political, like, listen, sometimes my mom is wrong. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call her out on her shit to Mike. Like, Ma, listen, you can't do that. You can't say that. Now, imagine a political person that's supposed to represent you on political issues across the United States and represent you in the world's eyes. And whether I voted for you or not, I'm gonna call it out as BS, but some people just follow them blind. Like, yes, they can do no wrong. They are saints. Either
Yeah,
part.
yeah, and it's crazy. And like you said, it's both sides because I'll see it on my page. I have a lot of liberal friends, and they'll put, "Oh, Trump supports this, Trump supports that," and you read their posts, and all they're doing is spewing hatred about Trump supporters. And I'm like, you guys are doing the exact same thing you're calling that side out for, which they do, and I'm not gonna disagree with you because I've seen it from their side too. I see my Trump supporters spew all this hate about Biden supporters and liberals. I'm like, you guys are doing the exact same thing you're commenting against. And I'm like, if you want to be for free speech, be for free speech. Don't
Across the
just be
board.
like, yeah, like if I ask you for your opinion, I want your opinion. I don't want to hear my opinion come out of your voice.
Now, dude, I've been through the same thing. Like, there's a restaurant that it's my local neighborhood, right? And somebody asked about what do people like, or what's their opinion on this restaurant, because they wanted to go ahead and try it out. Now, I went ahead and tried it out. I personally didn't like it. I gave my honest opinion, and dude, if I tell you, I got reamed, bro. Like, they reamed me, man. Like, they called me jerk, idiot. Like, you know what? The funny part is that I love getting into debates on Facebook because listen, I enjoy that shit sometimes. Not all the time, but I enjoy like going back and forth and hearing somebody's opinion on certain things. But people, and I think that's what's wrong with social media as well, is that you cannot see the facial expressions of the other person on the other side, and you kind of interpret what they're writing as an attitude a lot of the time, especially
Yeah.
if you're a sensitive kind of person. And when they're sensitive, then they're like, wait a minute, I know how he or she meant that. And you know what? Fuck them. You are an asshole bitch.
Yeah.
Then,
And then go
then right
straight to
there,
insults.
yeah, then right there, like it has to stop. Like you just can't get into it, because if it's a debate, you should be able to cross each other's bridges. And if you're putting something online and I want to dispute it, or if you wanted to dispute what I put, you know how many times I put something up and I got fact checked by one of my friends to say, hey, listen, this is actually the truth and that didn't really happen. And then I'm like, oh shit, I checked it. You're right. I actually just found it. I didn't even read the freaking article, and I just put it up there because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. There's times I had a friend that would fact check every post I did because he's just a douche. I love him to death. He's one of my closest friends.
You love him, but he's a douche.
Yeah, super liberal guy. I mean, he's one of those guys that he hates Trump. He doesn't hate Republicans. He hates Trump.
He hates Trump.
But he's one of my good friends, and him and I will have discussions, and we'll find middle ground. He's a total douche. He fact checked everything. So I started putting up posts, and on the top of the post, I'll put, haven't checked this yet, just putting up to review later. And he started commenting. He's like, I see you're learning. I'm like, listen, man, you
don't want to lose another friend.
Toes.
You don't want to lose another friend, especially a good friend, right?
Yeah, he's a great friend. He's awesome. I love him to death. He's one of those guys that ever since I met him, he's kept me on my toes. So I appreciate that. Here's my thing though. I live by a certain few rules, and one of them is I don't know what I don't know. So if I don't know something, I need someone to call me out on it. That's how I get better. That's how you learn. I appreciate feedback. So I love that he keeps me on my toes. But there's other people that just go off of my posts and start insulting me. Certain senseis that I know very well have come on my page and insulted me.
Happened to me too.
I know. We were on the same post. I know.
We've been on those same posts, right?
We've been on those. And it's hilarious. I'm like, guys, we've known each other for so many years before this. You know me. How can you think just because of this one post, which
you're gonna judge my whole character?
Exactly, and it probably has nothing to do with my views. I just found it funny, and I shared it.
Dude, just because you find, you know what? And if you found it funny, you probably want other people to find it funny as well, and you want to share that. You want to share what amused you with the rest of your Facebook family or group, right? And but then some people don't know how to freaking take it. Like, no, wait a minute, now you're just offending me. No, man, I just put that shit up there because I just thought it was fucking funny.
Exactly. I just found it funny. And it's ridiculous.
I come from New York, so I got half and half. So I got, because of course, if you're from New York, you're definitely a liberal. Like, That's 100% sure. You're gonna be a freaking liberal no matter what. And when I came when I first got here to Florida, 2003, I was very liberal. Like I was, but then you start meeting friends and you start seeing. But I've been open minded, and like you said, I've been corrected on certain things. Like, wait a minute, you know what? That makes kind of sense, and I approve of that. Like guns. Like when I first got down here to Florida, I was like, you know what? Fuck guns. Guns are bad. And being a martial artist, if you don't know how to fight with your hands, then what kind of a man are you? But then being down here and then going through Katrina and seeing what Katrina did in New Orleans and how people were fending for themselves out there on that Superdome shit and doing all that. Like, man, you know what? I can fight, but I can't fight 10
I can't stop a bullet.
Or
I can't stop a bullet. That's how I check.
I can stop a bullet. And even then, if there's 10 dudes, I don't care what kind of black belt I am, I'm not gonna be able to fight all 10 dudes at the same time. So you need some sort of protection. So then I got into gun rights and stuff like that. Okay, you know what? I approve of this stuff. So like right now, I'm like down the middle. Like I'm liberal for some stuff, but then I'm conservative on some other parts. Like, you want to smoke some weed? Okay, go for it. Hey, I'm 100% liberal on that. Go for it. You guys want to do your thing? Do it. Want to take my guns away? Wait a minute. I'm conservative. Don't take my freaking guns away, because I like to go shooting and I want to go hunting and I want to protect my family.
So I had a friend point out to me. I thought I was conservative. I was very middle ground conservative, and a friend pointed out to me that I realized I'm a libertarian. So I realized I'm the party of I don't give a fuck. You want to own a gun? Own a gun. You want to smoke some weed? Smoke some weed. You want to be gay? Be gay. As long as what you do does not affect me, I don't give a fuck.
That's right.
And that's become, he pointed out to me, I'm a freaking libertarian. Like, listen, you do what you want to do as long as it doesn't affect me. Like abortion, right? Yeah. I'm a guy. I believe as a male, I have no decision in that. It's not. I have no dog in this fight, so that's not my problem.
Yeah, like imagine if you so we're dudes, right? But imagine if women would say, no, men shouldn't get a vasectomy, or no, men should get vasectomies. That's what we
right.
Wait a minute. Those are my nuts. All right?
Exactly.
You enjoy them, but those are my nuts.
Exactly. And that's how I feel. I'm like, if it has nothing to do with me, it's not my problem.
It's not your issue. I mean, so look at Oregon. That's the gay uncle nobody knew anybody had. They just came out and they just legalized crack and meth.
For real. Other states are like, hey, you can smoke some weed. And Oregon's like, let me get a crack and peanut butter sandwich.
Dude, they went completely off the, like, did you ever expect Oregon to actually be able to do that? Like, listen, Oregon.
Man, I forgot Oregon was even still a state. Like, Oregon, does Oregon have any sports teams? Like, Oregon's just there.
Do they have a sports team?
Exactly. You don't know, right? Do you know anyone from Oregon?
I don't know anybody from Oregon.
No one does.
Now, have you been seeing those videos popping up online where, like, you have the subway worker or like the cashiers, and they just knocked out over the cashier just because I guess personal heroin is available to be used now, and they got the heroin high.
Yeah, I saw some video today. I guess that's what it was. Some lady was making like a Subway sandwich, and she fell asleep in the sandwich. I'm like, what the hell? Dude. And you know what? Again, I don't give a fuck. You want to do drugs? It's on you. But just personal restraint is a thing. Let's use. I think common sense should be brought back. And going back to social media, the biggest issue I find with social media is that it's made people comfortable with being disrespectful and not worrying about a smack to the mouth. Back in the day when you and I were younger, you disrespected somebody, the chance of you getting smacked in the mouth were very high. Back in the day, there was no, I'm going to pull out a gun and shoot you. It's like, I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to kick your ass in front of everybody. We're going to go toe to toe, and that's it. The beef is over. Tomorrow, we're going to look at each other, and the beef is over. This was back in the day. Now, people are, life is worth less than the price of a bullet, and people are getting too hung up on social media where you can disrespect people and talk all that mad shit without getting smacked in the mouth.
And I think
that's a big issue.
I think it's gotten even further now that most people are quarantined and they really can't leave their house. So not only are people stressed out being quarantined, but now they're typing away, being disrespectful, and knowing that the probability of you seeing that person is going to be so unlikely because nobody's allowed out anyway. Everybody's either stuck at home, and social gatherings are a thing of the past right now. So you get a lot more comfortable. You know what? I'm gonna tell them fuck them because I'm not gonna see them. So
Exactly.
dude, if I tell you,
Exactly.
I had one of those dudes disrespect me like that. And matter of fact, I ran into him at the gym, right? And I went straight up to him, and of course, it was just an
He was
internet warrior, and
he wasn't talking smack then, was
he
he?
wasn't talking smack. And I just approached him like a man. Like I didn't go up to him and try to pick a fight or anything. I said, hey, dude, listen, don't be disrespecting me like that on social media, man. Like you and I were just, there was nothing. Like you just came out of nowhere. Like you've never commented on any of my posts. You've never done anything, and out of nowhere, you just do that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like I've respected you. All I'm asking for is respect. He just stood quiet, But
Yeah.
when you go up to him like that, it's different, man. It's different. Dude, I wanted to share a quick story with you about
Yeah.
you.
About me.
About you, dude. About you. You made me
Okay.
look good. It must have been about maybe a couple of years ago. You made me look really good, and you made me score some points with the wife.
Okay.
So I went over to Dave and Buster's for a fight.
Okay.
Right? I went
Uh-huh.
there for a fight. It was a UFC fight, and there was a huge fucking line outside. And then all of a sudden, I see you. I think you were doing security there
Mm.
at Dave and Buster's, right? And then I look at my wife. I said, "Babes, watch. I'm gonna give him the password. And he's gonna let me right in." And I go up to you and I go, "Os," and immediately you, right? Oh, and then, yep, sure enough, we connected. He said, dude, come on in. You helped my wife and I get through the line. You got me in. So that scored some cool. My wife was like shocked. She's like, holy shit. I said, dude, I told the babes, it's a karate thing. Like
It is a karate thing.
once you're in the karate thing, like you just, if you become family just for being part of that martial arts family.
Yep. I got a funny one. Now that you have a story for me, I have a story for you.
What's up?
How we first met. So I don't know if you remember, this was years ago, man. I was judging one of those tournaments, right? I was doing refereeing, and one of your students came up against one of my students.
Uh-huh.
And it was hilarious because it was me, my sensei, and someone else judging in that ring, all three of us from the same school. And we were in the process of getting switched out. Of course, because our student was competing. We didn't want to judge the fight.
Correct.
And you came up like a bull, just hey, you guys can't judge this fight. That's my student, that's your student. And you didn't know we were already in the process of switching ourselves out. But man, you came out like a bull, and of course, I told you, hey, yeah, we're in the process of switching. You're like, oh,
very passionate, right?
Very passionate, man. And I'll never forget that because you got my respect that day. You came out, you didn't give a damn. You came out from the coach's box like a bull to us to defend your student, man. And senseis that go that far for their students, man, it's very rare to see.
You know what?
Even though we all care about our students, that level of dedication, I'll never forget that, man. So that was the day that we met.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry we met that way. Me coming up there getting upset, but it's like I love things to be fair, and even if my student loses because the other student was better, I'm okay with that. It's just when there's favoritism or where there's I left the whole NKF circuit, the USA Karate circuit, a couple of maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I just left it. I stopped competing in those, and I went over to the AAU circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still favoritism among the AAU crowd. It's
everywhere, man.
Crazy, man. It's everywhere. And I actually, you go to the USA Karate circuit, it's like freaking favoritism there. If you go to the AAU circuit, there's favoritism. Then it sucks, man, because they don't give the kids the proper, for instance, there was this kid, right? I went through the AAU circuit, and they competed against one of my kids, and the kid was doing Seinchin, It's a Shitoryu kata.
Okay.
And that's the only kata I really know from the Shitoryu style, and I know the moves and everything because I know that one kata. So the kid fucked it up. Like he just made a whole bunch of mistakes, right? So
He invented his own kata on the fly.
yeah, man, he completely screwed it up, right? So then I go, oh, I just mentioned it as I'm walking by the judges table. I go, oh, he lost, right? And he still got all the flags. And then I went up to the judge. I said, he made a mistake. I said, did you see he made a mistake? He goes, yeah, I saw he made the mistake, but it was his interpretation of the kata. Oh, I went, then what's even the point of practicing katas with the kids? What's the point of it? If they
Just make it freestyle.
Yeah, man, all right, so fuck it. So I can do whatever the fuck I wanted. That was my interpretation of Heian Shodan. He did unsu.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing a bunch of flip kicks in the air and
to make it flashy. Are you still training martial arts, man?
I haven't trained. I moved to Orlando a few years back, so I haven't been able to find a karate school that I like up here. I
didn't know you lived in Orlando.
I'll be moving back down to Miami in a few months. Funny enough.
Really?
Yeah, I got a promotion at work, so it's taking me back to South Florida. Thank you. But I love it up here, man. I'm really gonna miss living in Orlando. Really? It's way less expensive than South Florida, and it's just a much calmer lifestyle. Most people that live up here are older people or people with kids or retirees. So
got a lot of New Yorkers up there.
A lot of New Yorkers, a lot of Puerto Ricans.
There is a lot of Puerto Ricans. Yes, there is a lot of Puerto Ricans up there. Because all of my friends from New York, they're all in the Orlando area. And they're all either Dominican or Puerto Rican.
Yeah. So the food is good up here.
The food is really good.
Food is good up here. But yeah, man, I really love living up here.
How long you been up there for?
Almost 6 years. Yeah,
6 years, man.
6 years since September of 2014. I've been up here.
Holy shit! I didn't know this, man. That's pretty freaking awesome, man. But But you're gonna be making your way back down to South Florida?
Yeah, next couple months. Right now I'm in training, so I'm doing the training up here. As soon as I'm done with training, then I move down to South Florida to handle my new territory.
Good for you, man. Good for you. You know what? I'm actually on the way out of South Florida. I'm thinking about leaving South Florida. We got to South Florida in 2003, and I think we're really on our way out now. Like I think it's done. Like the martial arts school closed down. That's done.
I heard, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, dude, it freaking happens, man. What's the thing with that is that I wouldn't have to close if it wasn't for the freaking banks, man. Like everybody's blaming the landlords, and it's not the landlord's fault, man. Like
the landlords still got to make their payments.
They have to make the payments to the bank. The ones that are not shutting down are the banks. The banks are still charging the landlord's mortgage and interest. So what's the poor landlord got to do? They got to trickle it down to the tenant to pay the rent. But the tenant is the one that's not being allowed to either operate at full capacity or, like, for instance, we had to shut down from March to June. And the landlord said, well, you still have to pay. I'm like, how can I pay? Well, I'm not making any income. I told him, can we just bring those 3 months to the end of the lease? We're like, no, I can't do that because the bank is not allowing me to go ahead and do that for them. They're still charging me the mortgage. So it's like everybody's losing, landlords are losing, tenants are losing, but the bank is like, bitches, pay up. And if you don't pay up, foreclose.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And the government's not seeing that. And then people want the government to help them out. The government's job is clearly, as you can see, the government's job is not to help you. It's really not. The government has one job: make sure that your rights aren't trampled.
Both sides are in bed with the banks. Like they're saying that Biden is in bed with the banks, dude. Both sides, Republicans and Democrats, are in bed with the banks.
Who do you think pays them? These guys go in with a 6-figure salary and come out as millionaires. It's the math is simple. How do you come in making X amount of money? Maybe less than 200,000 because that's what a sitting senator makes. I think it's like 174 a year.
Yeah, but
they're millionaires. Where's that extra money coming from? They're not that great at investments. The country's $23 trillion in debt. Their money handling skills suck. So please tell me again how they become millionaires.
And fast. 4 years.
Yeah,
4 years. 4 years. That's all you have to. That's all it has to take to get to that point. Because the banks give them so much money that they have to pass certain laws that protect them. Like for instance, now, yeah, you know what? We're gonna shut down all the businesses. They cannot operate. Poor restaurants right now are suffering. Banks, no, no, no. You guys still can collect your things. We're not gonna affect you guys at all. I don't care how they make the money. They have to pay you. They can put food on the table. No, they still have to pay you. It's fucking crazy, man.
It's like as kids we used to watch the Robin Hood movies. That's how it was. The king would tax people. They were there. They couldn't feed their families, but the king was still getting his taxes. That's exactly what this feels like. The bank's still making the money when we can't even work.
The banks are king, man. The banks, they're our lords, man. Like I call them the lords because they're the ones that are not going to lose during this whole pandemic. They're still going to do good because once those momentariums are done with not being able to evict people, they're still going to be evicting people.
Oh, they're going to evict people left and right.
Dude,
I know. I'm going to start buying houses for like $25.
Dude, wait until March. I say I'm giving it March, April. Dude, there's gonna be people in the streets like crazy, man. Because there's a lot of people out there that have been saved, not losing their homes, because it's right now illegal to evict them because of the whole pandemic. But once that ban is lifted, the banks are gonna come in, roll out, and listen. Anybody that wants to get into real estate, that's the time.
Yeah,
that's when
houses are gonna be coming up for sale like crazy.
Dude, it's gonna be freaking bananas, man. And that's one of the reasons I'm leaving South Florida because I feel like many big cities are gonna end up like California is right now. Now, I hope it doesn't happen. With homeless people out in the street, and it's not because they're druggies. It's just because they've been kicked out of their homes, man.
They can't afford to live there.
And big cities like my son, for instance, right? He just started middle school. They started middle school 6 weeks ago. We've gotten about 8 phone calls between the start of school and now. Potential person got infected. We just have to inform you. And just on Wednesday of this week, my son got sent home for 2 weeks because he was in a class with a child that actually tested positive. And now, keep in mind, school's only been in session for 6 weeks. What's going to happen between now and June?
Well, according to the rumors, we're gonna do another 4 to 6 week shutdown.
Fuck, bro, that's fucking nuts, man. Yeah, you know what? I'm down for the shutdowns, but you have to shut down the bank, collecting the. Otherwise, how are people supposed to maintain? How are people supposed to survive if they cannot produce an income, but the banks are still charging you money? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and you're right, and that right there is the big ticket item. The fact that we can't work, but the banks still expect their money. They don't care how you make the money; just go out and make it.
It's
you
not
have
just
to pay
the banks that don't care; it's the government because the government should know this. Like, they should know this. They should know that by shutting down the businesses, like it's fine, shut down the business. But if your business is forced to shut down, you shouldn't have to be charged by the bank. What's the bank going to lose? Why can't the bank lose and yes, you, the little guy or the citizen, you are allowed to lose? Like, how does that even make sense?
It's not even about losing. If the bank suspends your payments for a few months, they're not losing anything. They're gonna make the money. It's just gonna take a little bit longer for them to get it. They're not losing anything. And that's what I don't get. Why not just put a freeze on those payments? Hell, even my student loans were frozen. Even those were frozen. I was still making my payments, but I didn't have to. They weren't charging me anything.
Yes.
And they removed the interest. And that's a federal program. That's a bank. Why can't you just do a regular banks?
Now,
suspend the pay and add it later on.
Now, it shouldn't be across the board. Like, it shouldn't be done for everyone because you have essential businesses that have to stay open.
Yeah.
Charge them. That's totally fine. They're making income. They're making money. They're paying rent. But if let's say you're a small mom and pop's restaurant, like a bakery that you don't have enough space to create social distancing, and you weren't allowed to do an outdoor dining because the plaza has certain codes or rules that you're not allowed to do that. Like there's proof that you did everything possible, but you just cannot provide safety for customers, and you were forced to shut down. That should be proof enough that now it should be adjusted somehow. I'm not one of the leaders, and I don't want that position either. And now I don't think I'm smart enough to be able to handle all those mathematical equations where, okay, this business is not paying rent because they were forced to shut down, but this accounting office is allowed to stay open because they can do everything virtually. But you cannot dine in virtually, man. You know?
Exactly. So certain, and I agree with you. It shouldn't be across the board. Just, that's what I'm saying. The banks aren't going to lose because there's still businesses that are open, still making payments. Just for the ones that have what they, a proof of hardship, right? You did everything you could, but for whatever reason, under the new rules for COVID, you cannot maintain your business open. You should get that pardon, for X amount of time while the closure is happening.
While you're forced to close. And if you're
Yeah.
allowed to open up again, but you're only allowed to open up again at 25% capacity, then let's make it fair. 25% of the payment should go back. And that 25% payment gets adjusted across the board for the landlord to pay the mortgage, so it's got to be fair across the board. Like, again, like when I went in there and I got upset just because I thought it wasn't going to be fair, even though it wasn't going to be fair with my student. Same thing. Just make it fair. If you're able to operate your business at 100% with no restrictions, then yes, you should be able to pay your rent or your mortgage 100% without restrictions. But it changes the whole ball game around, man, because not only are you forced to, like a sensei or a business owner, stuff like that, they have two payments to make. They have their mortgage of their own home to make a payment to, and they have to make the rent payment for the space that they lease. So it's a double whammy for a lot of people. Like, for instance, with me, that's how it was. I have to pay my home mortgage and I had to pay my rent. So I couldn't keep digging the hole deeper. So I said, I'm closing down the business. Fortunately for me, I was able to continue my classes through Zoom. And that's been going great. And I actually got customers now from places that they wouldn't have came to take martial arts with me, being that they were out of the 5-mile radius. I got people from Canada. I got people from New York. I got people training with me from across the country now. So it's good in a way, Shit, I threw out I took my living room and I threw out all my couches. I threw everything out. I put on a green screen. I've got my mats going on there, and I made a small dojo out of my living room. So that came out dope.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and fortunately for you, it worked, and I'm 100% happy for you because I know the passion that you have for martial arts. If you didn't have a passion for it, we wouldn't go through what we go through for it.
That's right.
And the people look at martial arts and they just, they think of the movie stuff. They don't know the blood, sweat, tears, broken bones, the injuries that go through this. I'm still suffering, with herniated discs, an injured knee. I'm still going through the pain for years of martial arts, of the punishment it takes.
But you've taken on a different sport now, right?
Yes, I have.
What sport are you taking up now, man?
As you can see, powerlifting. So I lift heavy weights fast. Is the essence of
how's that? How do you like it, man?
Oh man, so I love it. So it's funny how it started for me. I had gotten into a car accident January of 2019 and tore the meniscus in my left knee. Oh shit. Yeah, I needed surgery for it. It sounds worse than it is. The surgery went great, and then rehab was good, and then when my doctor told me that I could start working out, at the gym I was going to, one of the trainers was having a strength program. Basically, you get your deadlift and your bench stronger, and you get stronger. Like, damn, that's perfect for rehabbing the knee because you start incrementing weights. So I started doing that program, and within like 2 or 3 weeks, I fell in love. I mean, the adrenaline rush when you start deadlifting, you can barely deadlift 135 pounds. And then 2-3 weeks in, you're deadlifting 315, 350. And it was an 8-week program. And I started, right after, a few weeks after a knee surgery. at the end of the program, I deadlifted. I maxed out at 475 pounds. I was able to get 500 right off the ground, but I couldn't finish the lift. And I was the highest deadlifter of the group
Now,
after the surgery.
was that the first time you lifted weights, or have you already been lifting weights prior, but not into powerlifting?
So I had, like everybody, you go to the gym and you lift weights. In high school, I had a lot of weight training classes.
Okay.
But I had never deadlifted. And as far as powerlifting to that level, never. Like the most I had ever benched was maybe like 200 pounds, squatting maybe 300 pounds. I had never deadlifted. And now I've gotten to a point where I'm benching almost 300, squatting
Jeez.
for something, and deadlifting almost 500 pounds.
Fuck, man. So you've been doing powerlifting now. Fuck, you going on to almost 2 years.
About a year and a half. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yep.
Now, is that your brand? Or is that your brand now?
Yeah. Captain Powerlift. Captain Powerlift. So you can find me on Instagram or YouTube. Instagram, it would be Captain_Powerlift.
Okay.
Because apparently someone already had this name. I couldn't find them though. But yeah, I started charting the journey to 500 is what I called my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because I started when I was trying to hit the 500 pounds. Unfortunately, so my first competition was going to be next month, December. But last month, I was warming up, getting ready for the competition, and I blew out my back. I was literally walking, lower back. I was literally walking sideways for about a week. Like literally, I was like this. I couldn't stand up straight.
Really?
Yeah. So it was bad. Imagine I went to my chiropractor, right? Because he's helped me out with my back before.
Uh-huh.
And in the parking lot of my chiropractor, I couldn't get out of the car. I had to call 911 to take me to the hospital.
Oh, the pain. From the pain.
It was that bad, man. I couldn't get up. I needed the ambulance to just take me to the hospital.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what they gave you when you got to the hospital?
They gave me a cocktail of stuff, man. I think they gave me like hydrocodone in one arm and another painkiller, like injection, another painkiller in the other arm.
Did it take the pain away?
Nah, they gave me a muscle relaxer and another painkiller by mouth, and they put a lidocaine patch on my back, and I still couldn't walk an hour later. I couldn't even sit up.
Fuck, man. So when I was younger, I was about maybe 16 years old. I'm in New York, and we're in a little Plymouth Colt, right? And we're stopped at a red light. We just picked up McDonald's. We're sitting there, and this Cadillac, I'm talking about, this is years ago, so it's one of those old school hardcore caddies, comes in and just freaking, they were stopped at a red light. He never stopped. He just rammed us from behind. We got into an accident. I guess my back went back and stuff like that, and I had McDonald's all over me. Anyway, the car's totaled 100%. We call my other friend. My other friend comes through. He picks us up. We go out to East New York. We were out there hanging out. Now we're driving back like around 6 o'clock in the morning. And now the first accident was around 11 p.m. And then we go out, hang out, 6 o'clock in the morning. We're heading back home. And I'm knocked out in the back seat. I'm completely out cold. I'm knocked out. It's a long night. And all of a sudden I wake up and everything is spinning. And I look at the driver. He let go of the steering wheel. He's hugging my other friend in the front, right? So what happened is there's this big curve, and he hit the median, doing a 360 on the highway. Cars totaled. We wrecked 2 cars in one night. Major accidents. I never went to the hospital. We never did anything. I just got out of the car. No, by luck, we all came out alive. And ever since then, I started getting lower back pains, right? And one day I sneezed and I pulled my lower back. One day I went to the gym. I picked up a 25-pound plate, not heavy at all. And I lift way more than that. Picked up a 25-pound dump plate, pulled my lower back. The last one that was the worst was I was doing hack squats. And sure enough, I felt my lower back on my spinal cord. I got a spasm, like it just did this. So here's how I helped it out with my lower back. my wife's nephew, he's a physical therapist for like sports, and he
Okay.
works with like baseball, like pro baseball players, pro soccer players and stuff. And I said, dude, my lower back is killing me, dude. Like I pull it every so often. He told me, oh, that's easy. All you got to do is just stretch your quads. He says, just stretch your quads. And ever since I've started stretching my quads, all lower back injuries have gone away. So what ends up happening is, and it makes total sense. So when we sit for periods of times, your quads are kind of relaxed in a certain form. So when you stand up, the quads kind of stretch, but they're not fully stretched out. So what ends up happening is that you end up pulling the quads, pull you forward a little bit, and that's when you get the back injury. But once you stretch your quads, your back goes straight. I used to think that stretching my hamstrings was the way to go. And sure enough, if you ever pull your lower back, just pick up your leg. Like if you're stretching out your quads, like you hold the back, your instep, and you pull that leg back and feel your quad, and it's gonna be as tight as a rock, right? If you stretch your quads on a regular basis, most of your lower back pain should go away, because it did for me. And I used to pull my lower back at least twice a year. And I couldn't teach karate. I would have to walk around like an old man, and it was hard. But like the getting out to go grocery shopping after driving the car, from sitting down, like you get out the car, like, oh, now you got to kind of stretch because your lower back is tight. Stretch your quads. Like it's just the front part of your legs that you have to stretch, because that muscle gets contracted in. So what you want to do is actually open it up, right? And once he explained it to me, it made total sense. And ever since then, like I would go into my front stand stretch and stuff like that, just stretching your quads. And it's going to, first of all, prevent injury, right? And two, is gonna help you avoid the injury that you usually get, especially doing powerlifting, man. Especially doing powerlifting.
Funny enough, my trainer has told me the exact same thing. And before lifting now, there's always this quad stretch that I do.
Yeah.
That I put my foot like on a stool.
Yeah.
And I go down onto my knee, and then
That's it.
I kick my hip forward, and it does help. Believe it or not, it does help. And also what I started doing now is yoga. Believe it or not, man. Even for a big 300-pound guy like me, yoga is incredible.
Dude,
It's helped out a lot.
That's crazy, because I just picked up yoga about 2 weeks ago. Right? Now I'm not going to classes because COVID and shit, right? I have my studio here in my home, my dojo. So I have the mats and everything. Now I just put on this YouTube video, right? And there's this guy, it's called Breathe and Flow.
Okay.
Now he's pretty fucking awesome. And of course I found it because I want to do the yoga with the girls there and stuff like that. This guy, he does yoga for men. So I figured, hey, I'm a dude, I'm freaking do the yoga for men. I'm gonna do the girl yoga, right? So I found this guy. He's pretty awesome, and I guess I'm shouting him out right now. Breathe and Flow, and it's helped me out so much. Like my dexterity has gotten better. Like I'm flexible just from martial arts itself, but my butterfly stretch and certain motions where I kind of have to cross my feet, like Indian style position, I'm horrible at. Like that's my worst stretch. I've never been able to do it. But ever since I started picking up yoga, I feel like I'm more aware of my posture. I feel like I'm more aware of how I should be walking instead of slouching forward. But the quad stretching and yoga, dude, it's freaking incredible. I'm actually doing yoga right now twice per week, and I'm weight training 3 days a week. I'm not going to the gym. I have this kettlebell, and that's all I'm doing now is just kettlebell. Even though I used to go to the gym 5 days a week, I stopped that just because of COVID. But now I just do kettlebell training at home, man. But the yoga has helped me out so much, man.
Yeah. So what I do, I'm still I do go to the gym. But I try to go at the most emptiest times possible.
What time
like
is
you'll
that for
catch
you?
me the gym. So it depends, but I you can catch me at 24 Fitness at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. If I can't go to the gym throughout the day, I'm a member of multiple gyms. I pay a lot in gym fees.
Just because of your schedule, and you want to be able to try out. And certain gyms have certain machines, and certain gyms have other machines that you like too.
Yeah, like believe it or not, some places don't like you deadlifting because that way, 400 pounds hits the floor, it makes a pretty loud noise, it scares people,
And you
and
can't
then
bring
people
it
get
down
all
that
panicked.
slow.
Not 400, maybe
No.
3.
Yeah, but you
Four.
cannot control it, right?
Yeah, no, it can't. You're supposed to. So as you get better, So when I first started, I couldn't control 300. I can get it up, and then I'd have to let it go. Now I can go up and down. 400, I can get it up and sort of bring it down, but I'm still working on. That's my working weight right now. So I usually go to like a Crunch Fitness for that, where they let
Okay.
you go all out. And then sometimes I go to LA Fitness. Just because at that time it's the emptiest. If I go late at night, I go to 24-hour fitness.
That's right.
Anytime Fitness is also really good, but some places, if I'm down in Miami, the only Anytime Fitness is up in Miramar.
That's
So
far.
I have a lot of gym memberships.
Shit, man.
But then I'm also doing DDP yoga here at home. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, you know who DDP is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started his own yoga program. I've
The
seen a
DDP.
lot of guys. Yeah, DDP. He started his own yoga program, and I found out about him because there's a few guys on videos on YouTube of people that could barely walk. They were in hand crutches, and they started DDP yoga, and now they're running. They've lost weight. So yeah, it strengthens all it's yoga, so it strengthens all your back, strengthens all your posture,
And your core.
and
Extremely.
your core.
Fuck,
Definitely.
man.
Actually,
I
later
didn't know it was
today,
that
I'm gonna
tough.
hit some core. Yeah, later today, I'm gonna hit some core.
Now, core is
And
really
that's very
important when
important.
deadlifting, right? I mean, when
It's
powerlifting, I'm sorry.
no deadlifting and powerlifting. So yeah, deadlifting is part of powerlifting. You think about it. Even when you're doing regular bench, I found out throughout the strength program that I've been benching wrong my entire life.
How's that?
So usually I would lay flat on the bench, lift the bar up and just go straight up and down with the bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. I've been benching wrong my entire life.
What's the correct way?
When you do the bench, you gotta putting your shoulders back, and you should have 5 points of contact. So it should be your head, your shoulder blades, your butt on the bench, and then your feet on the ground.
Okay.
So that's 5 points of contact. Your lower back, your mid back needs to be arched. So you need to, instead of being like this on the bench, you need to be like that. This should be off the bench.
Because I've seen that. I've seen like certain people, I've seen some videos and some pictures of that on social media and stuff where the person does this incredible arch where they actually look like they're not even benching up. They kind of look like they're doing a reverse or inclined or declined a bench because their back is so arched. What's the point of, I've never understood that. What's the point of arching your back so much?
So one, you're putting way more pressure on your chest. So when you're laying on the bench flat, believe it or not, you're resting. When you're like this, you're already stretching out the pec muscles. So you're just by lifting the bar, you're already tensed up, right?
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah. When you're bringing it down, the path is just much wider. You're already putting much more strain on your chest and your pectoral muscles. And then also the bar path isn't straight like this. It would be more of a curve.
Correct. That's right. Yes, that makes sense.
And man, when I found that out, weight just started going up like if it was nothing. I went from at that point benching 150 to benching 275.
Fast. How long it took you to do that?
More or less. About 8 weeks.
8 weeks, man. That's a huge improvement, man. Have you seen John Jones? He gained fucking 20 pounds of muscle because he's gonna go into the heavyweight division.
Can you imagine? You're gonna go into heavyweight division after being retired, and you're gonna face Mike Tyson. I wouldn't have taken that bet. I'm not stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson.
Who you got? Who you got for that fight? Tyson?
Tyson second round.
Really?
Tyson second round. I would say Tyson first round, but I'm gonna give it. Jones is gonna run around a little bit in that first one. Tyson second round.
Listen, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. And here's my analogy with that. My analogy with that is, I saw Tyson's last fight. Tyson's last fight, I believe he fought in 2005. Now, I'm a huge Tyson fight. I grew up watching Mike Tyson fight. It was a big spectacle. It was the pay-per-view event of the Saturday night when everybody knew that you were going to watch a man just get destroyed by Mike Tyson, right? Because that's what you didn't bet to see if he was going to win. You bet it which round that he was going to knock
Which round
the
he's
dude
gonna
out.
put him down? Yep.
That's what you would bet on, right? But he fought this guy called Kevin McBride,
Mhm.
right? He was about 6'6", though, tall dude. And I believe it was the end of the 6th round. And Tyson sat on the floor, didn't come back out. So they scored it as a technical TKO, but he wore himself out. He couldn't continue. He couldn't keep fighting. And I hate that memory that was his last fight because it's fucking Tyson. You know, you don't want to see your childhood idol go out like that. Now,
Mhm.
Roy Jones Jr., this dude, he's been actively fighting, man. Like he's been fighting out there in Russia. Like he still does exhibition fights. So, and Roy Jones Jr. was one of my favorite fighters to see fighting just because of his skill and the way he fought,
Mhm.
right? I don't know, man. Listen, if Tyson cannot beat him in the first two to three rounds, I think Roy Jones Jr. is going to take it. Because
Oh, I agree with you 100%. That's why I said Tyson in 2.
Tyson
If
in 2.
if Jones makes it out of that second round, I give the fight to Jones. Just because, like you said, Tyson will gas himself out,
It's a lot of
especially in the
muscle.
first 2 rounds. It's a
But
lot of muscle. He's moving it very fast,
have you seen his fucking body, his transformation from where he used to be to what he is now?
and that's what I was going to bring up now. You said you watched his last fight. Tyson's not the same guy. So he did a documentary about that last fight. He took that last fight for a paycheck. He
Yeah.
didn't care about winning or losing. He took it for a paycheck.
Hmm.
Tyson's mentality then versus Tyson's mentality now, he's a whole different monster. You know, he's coming out of retirement. I don't think Tyson would put himself he took that last fight for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Money's not an issue anymore. The guy's in movies. He came back to boxing because
He's
that's
got the
his
Tyson
passion.
Ranch.
Yeah, he's got a Tyson Ranch. He came back to boxing for the passion and for the love of that ring.
But question for you.
He's a different monster.
Do you think he still has that killer instinct as he did back in the day? Because at 53 years old, you think a lot differently than you do when you're in your 20s. Like in your 20s, you just want to destroy motherfuckers. You want to go in there, and if you're a fighter, you want to go and destroy them. Now at 53, you know, we've been smoking weed for a little bit. You know, you've kind of thought things different. You're a family man, you know. And remember on his last podcast with Joe Rogan, he said, you know, I don't have that instinct inside of me anymore. It's not there. Now, do you think you can just change it up and say, I'm a killer again?
So I think when he had that interview with Rogan, I think he was trying to convince himself of that. I think he was trying to tell himself that he didn't have that killer instinct anymore. I've seen his training, his videos of him training now recently. He has that killer instinct. I mean, he's hitting that bag. Whoever he hits with either one of those hands, he will put them down. To me, he looked like the Tyson of old. Now, again, those are 15, 20-second clips. You
Of
know,
course. Yeah.
So I'm saying that's why 1 or 2 rounds. I know at 53 he can't handle an 8-round fight, but 1 or 2 rounds, if Jones makes a mistake and he gets clipped with just one of those hooks,
gosh,
Jones out for the count. I mean,
my
I'm telling
gosh.
you, I wouldn't take that deal. I wouldn't step into the ring with Tyson. I'm not at that age.
No, man, no. But you know, Roy Jones Jr. will take it just because the caliber fighter that he is, and he, you know, you're a boxer for life. You know, it is what it is. It's just, you know, there's this coach, this boxing coach I just saw an interview of. His name, I believe his name is Tony Atlas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said Tyson has always had great technique. Like he's always been able to bob and weave. He knows how to throw a good punch. Like it's just because it's DNA.
And a great counter punch.
And a great counter punch. But here's something he said. You know, he looks great hitting the pads, but we haven't seen him getting hit back. How does he react getting hit back? You know, and this is Tony Atlas, who's you know, he's a certified fucking amazing boxing coach for years and years. You know, listen, I want to see this fight. Like definitely I'm going to see this fight, but I don't want to watch it. I get at the same time. And the only reason being is this. You're 18 years old, you stub your toe, 2 days later, you fully recovered, right? Now, these freaking dudes are in their 50s, you know, and you get you stub your toe at 50, you're not going to recover in 2 days. It might take you a month to recover. Now, getting hit in the head and suffering brain injury, you know, you're not going to recover as quickly, or you may not even ever recover as you did when he was 20. That's the only reason. Just because I love these guys. Like, I think they're freaking, you know, they're my freaking childhood heroes. Tyson, amazing. You know, like Tyson will live on for even after we're gone. Like Ali and Frazier and Ray DeMarciano. Like, these guys are gonna live on forever, you know. And Roy Jones Jr., I believe so too. But I don't want to see it, you know, because I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna fucking pay for it. Definitely, I'm ordering the fight. But it just scares me, just because, you know, I don't want to see two freaking old dudes get hurt. Like, I just want to see a good freaking show. Like, seeing one of them knocked out on the floor would sadden me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And my other fear is, you know, Jones is putting on weight for this fight. Fighting in a lighter weight is way different from fighting with the big boys in heavyweight. It's easier to cut weight and fight in a lower division when you have the power advantage, not necessarily the speed, as opposed to gaining weight and fighting heavier than you're used to. You know, you might not be as quick. You might not be able to bob and weave as fast. And again, you're going toe-to-toe with arguably one of the greatest boxers, one of the hardest hitters in boxing history. You know, arguably the hardest hitter in boxing history. Yeah, you know, maybe the only guy stronger than him would have been like Foreman, you know, who had anvils for fists.
You know, that's what Tony Atlas said. He said, the last thing to go is always going to be the power. Like, the power is always going to, like, because we tend to get stronger as we age, as men. Like, we tend to get stronger. You know, we build a lot of speed in our teens and our 20s. We're very fast. And if you develop a technique at an early age, technique will still be there. Your stamina is the first thing that goes. You know, your movement and your dexterity is going to go as well, because I'm not as limber as I used to be, even though I'm doing yoga now just to gain that back. But your power. So if you get hit, especially Mike Tyson's body shots, you know, like, did you see that video a couple of years ago where John Jones from the UFC, he's kind of throwing some hands with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson does a quick combo and he freaking catches John Jones, and John Jones like, yo, he just set that up. That was sneaky. Like, the technique he's gonna have there.
Yeah, it's like us. We're martial artists. It's ingrained in us. The technique, it'll come out even when we don't think it's gonna come out. Yeah, you know, that's the training. And as martial artists, you and I both know that. But again, Tyson's power is going to be the factor in this fight. And like you said, I as much as I want to see another Tyson knockout, I don't want to see Jones go down like that either.
I would like to see a great fight of exchange of two boxers, you know, two amazing boxers. And I want to see a display of technique and passion and strength. I wouldn't want to see the referee allow one of them to get knocked out. Either one of them.
An early stoppage, you know, if he sees that it's going south really quickly, just stop it.
Just stop it and it'll be fun. That's it. But like, if we can see the old Tyson, you know, moving and hitting some body shots, and John Jones throwing that lead left hook that he likes to throw and bouncing around and moving, and seeing kind of a glimpse of who they used to be in the ring, that for me would be worth it enough. That for me would be worth it enough. Dude,
like, hell, I was happy just watching the training videos of Tyson, hitting those bags. I was so happy to just see him, you know, see glimpses of the old Tyson in there. And then he scheduled this fight. I'm like, what the hell?
Dude, remember when he first shot out that first video of him just throwing some punches in the air? I think he was showing some dudes a technique that he would just shift out and go body, face with two hooks. That alone of Mike Tyson throwing punches in the air broke the freaking internet, man. Like, that video went viral across just because people want to see Tyson throw a punch. Just you throwing a punch in the air will break the internet, you know? It's like seeing Bill Wallace throw hook kicks.
Or, can you imagine being the guys that Tyson's showing that combo to? You're just there talking to Tyson. He just throws a couple punches into the air. I mean, like, I'd be starstruck.
Dude, man, I'll catch a fucking hard on. I'm like, oh, like, you just seeing Tyson do that, man. It's like, seeing technique at its purest and at its finest, and know that it was at that level, it's freaking amazing, man. There's another video of Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player, getting pointers from Pete Rose, and
Wow.
and Alex Rodriguez, he, like, you can tell his face, like, he's just in awe. He's like, just seeing somebody like Pete Rose, who had freaking a record of, I don't know how many hits, 3,000 hits or something like that, seeing him hit and just showing him these little tiny techniques to Alex Rodriguez. And Alex Rodriguez was in awe, like seeing somebody when they perfected something to the point of perfection that they did, and just demonstrating a little bit of it, you're in awe. It's like seeing a martial artist do something that was really good from the days. Like, I imagine an Agayev, 10, 30, 20 years from now, he does some sort of technique and he demonstrated, everybody's be like, wow, we got a glimpse of who he was, just because it is what it is, and seeing Tyson going in there and moving, it definitely, he's going to wear his black shorts, right?
Oh,
like,
he has to.
He has to. If he doesn't do that, fuck it, I'm turning off the TV.
Yeah, it's and I was talking about this. I realized we grew up in one hell of an era, man. We had stars in every sport. We had, Michael Jordan in basketball, Tyson in boxing. We had King Griffey Jr. and that beautiful swing in baseball.
Yep.
Every
Carl
sport
Lewis.
we had. Yeah.
Carl Lewis in running.
Yeah, we had such great athletes, man, in our generation. I mean, like, these kids don't know what the hell they're missing. Which is another reason why these videos are so popular, like showing the next generation of the monsters we had in our generation. It's crazy, man.
Do you think this generation is going to sign up for that fight, for the Roy Jones Jr. versus Tyson, or is it just going to be all the old folks going in there?
So Tyson's reputation precedes him. So I think the new generation, just to see what the hype was for Tyson back in the day, they'll sign up just for that.
I think he's cross-generational, right? He's gone across generations just because of his legacy and of what he did. I think everybody just likes a badass. I think everybody just likes a badass, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, sorry. I lost my camera. But yeah, and that's exactly right. People like a badass, but again, it's that reputation that precedes you. You think about if Michael Jackson was still alive and Michael Jackson said, "I'm going to do a concert now," it would be sold out like this.
Absolutely. Like, imagine seeing Michael Jackson I don't want to see anything else. Dude, just moonwalk. Just fucking moonwalk.
I will pay to watch you moonwalk for an hour.
Yeah, man, because he perfected it, or he invented it. I don't know if he invented it or not, but he made it famous. He made it what it was.
He made it famous, that's for sure. And that's it. It's just that reputation. Tyson has a reputation of being the baddest man on the planet. So a lot of these young cats are going to be like, why is he such a badass? And, well, you're going to find out.
They're going to find out. They're going to find out. Hey, man, listen, dude, I can talk to you for hours and hours on end, but we have to do this again just because.
Oh, definitely.
And I bring, and I've been wanting to do this podcast for a while, and I've been doing it with my wife and all. And I want to bring in people that, I'm really interested in hearing their points of views and seeing how, I think people are going to want to hear that. And I think people are going to want to just hear somebody who's interesting and cool to talk to. And that's why I wanted to invite you on the podcast and bring you on. But question, on the YouTube channel that you have, Captain Powerlift, are you selling those Captain Powerlift hats?
I will be. I have the hats. I have shirts.
Okay, cool.
I have cups. All that's going to be on sale.
So we're going to put the link in the description to his YouTube channel and to his Instagram and stuff. We'll put it on the link down at the bottom so you guys can go ahead and check him out, follow him, like him, and support Giancarlo on his way to 500, right? On his road to 500 pounds.
Road to 500.
Road to 500, dude. Captain Powerlift, dude, is in the house. Dude, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for doing this. And it's pretty cool. And we're definitely going to do this again because you're a cool guy to talk to. And you made me look good in front of my wife at that one with the secret password of us.
Us.
All right, dude.
All right, buddy.
It's great talking to you, man. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Same, man. Take care.